With T3eny and Veno's victory royale, it's put T3eny at 20 FNCS finals, tying him for the most at all time in Europe. And there's still a lot of titles, or titans, sorry, that have yet to made it to the grand finals today. Just like Thomas HD and Queasy, who have had a rough start so far to day 2. They did make it to upper bracket now in the second day, but they're having a tough time making it to the late game. Early game, last time Queasy got knocked down early on, and Thomas HD stayed up for a solo for a good amount of time, but was not able to close it out or even get the reboot. So I'm curious to see now if anything will change up, as I believe there's even an extra duo dropping here around Mount Olympus.
Yeah, I think when a team that has been so dominant in their history as both individual players and the run last major, you can kind of see them getting space, but the more and more they slip up, the more and more teams will not show that same respect. And as soon as we turn into Grim Gates, Malabuka is already down. Kiddo and Cheatin get that first elimination. Luckily for him though, Merstash was able to create so much distance, so they have to go on the hunt if they want to get him too.
Merstash, Malabuka, we're on top the whole day in terms of battles off spawn, but looks like the tables are finally turning here for Cheatin and Kidduo. The issue is, 1, Merstash is still up, but 2, even if they are able to eliminate Merstash, they're kind of on the lower end of the leaderboard here. So even if they want to make upper bracket tomorrow, they're gonna have to get a good amount of points in this match. So I'm not sure if they're gonna completely hunt for Merstash here or more play their current loop path and try and just focus on getting that medallion, but I think Merstash at least wants to catch one player off guard.
Yeah, you've seen a huge change up this time around. Queasy and Thomas not overstaying their welcome at Mount Olympus, but instead just trying to quickly go on the aggressive. It's Hedra down below, very, very close to Queasy, so he has to watch out not to get kind of bull rushed in a 2v1 situation. Him and Kurtwalk can kind of turn at a moment's notice, but Queasy's just there. He still has the Thunderbolt of Zeus. He still has that Ranger AR, landing a couple of shots, getting that distraction to allow Queasy a little more freedom in his rotation.
Continue to look at options, at damage that they can do in the game. First game of the day, they didn't go for full-on eliminations. They just wanted a bit of damage, but Astral is going for those full elims, knocking down one. Cringe now. Last player in the box is actually going to finish off Astral. Great attempt, though, for the 2 versus 1.
Uh-oh. You know how active Grim Gates is. Yep, you hear Kiddo and Cheatin. They say, this is my POI now. Already took down Malabuka. Jake Buka goes down next. Is there any Bukas that I could take down? Because they could add them to the list. And now they're going to go on the chase. I was gonna say it might be a little too soon, because all of that Grim Gate loot in terms of the medallion, in terms of the Mythic Gatekeeper, is still up, and you see other teams moving in that direction now to try to take it for themselves.
Various bro, or Fire bro, close by now. Yanis Flixie though, up against Scroll and Sky here at the Reckless Railways. They've been playing incredibly consistently throughout the day. 140 points already. Almost securing themselves at least the upper bracket tomorrow. Scroll looking for a cheeky little angle. Unable to connect, though. He's been caught. Forced to drop down once again. Regroup with his duo partner.
Ooh, nice shots on the Yanis from the side. Yanis and Flixie so far 2-0 in this off-spawn fight. But this time around, you see in the minimap, a third team now closing in on the distance. And those are the things you learn. You adapt. You know this fight towards Reckless Railway is happening. And if you haven't found the surge in the first 2 games, it might be a necessity to interrupt these fights very, very early on, even if your intention isn't necessarily to go for the elimination.
Be careful,
no.
though. Yanis has been knocked. Flixie now is left alone, but he takes down Sky. It's back to a 1 versus 1. Does the third party know, though? This is the perfect moment to capitalize on the situation and go in. Flixie needs to finish this quickly. He does exactly that, taking out Scroll. Now, the question is, will he have time to pick up Yanis here as the third parties get closer and closer?
Yeah, one player at least crossed over that river already. Second one taking his time. That's T3eny. Moneymaker is probably not too far behind. Cannot go for that reboot just yet. Flixie's going to be left by himself, but he has the time here. He needs to figure out how he's going to take this 1v1 before it turns into a 2v1 situation. And T3eny's really not letting him escape either. He's trying to keep his eyes on him the entire time, but he didn't look above. Luckily, Moneymaker closes the distance in time to get there to save the day.
You talked about adaption, and that's exactly what we just witnessed here. The Reckless Railways battle lasted a bit too long here. So T3eny and Moneymaker capitalized on that, and it turned out perfectly for the duo. Looks like Thomas HD and Queasy are looking healthier than their previous matches, but still have a bit of a ways to go.
Queasy and Thomas just really haven't found their stride. They kind of give up Mount Olympus, trying to think ahead, go for that bunker, which has about another minute, 2 minutes before it opens up. And you see a lot of those teams from in and around Mount Olympus now moving their way over in this direction. They also want that bunker. That's Hedra, that's Kerwa, the ones they were fighting since the beginning of this game. But you can see two more players, Lens and T3eny, over towards the outside, waiting to third party. But right now, you can see they're just not going in right away. They're just staggering themselves. They're waiting to hear the noise of the fight and possibly a knock pop up in the feed before they start to make their move.
Once again, another duo just waiting for that perfect moment to strike. Which is why you kind of have to be careful in these box fights. A lot of the time, it's just to do a bit of damage and not fully get the eliminations, but sometimes you don't have a choice. Also, depending on how long this takes, even the duo just waiting. They're using a lot of time and resources here, just holding on for that perfect moment. The issue is if they are able to get the elims and potentially the bunker, then that's huge. But if not, you used a lot of time without a lot of gain. So you kind of have to make a decision on what you're going to do.
Yeah, you see everybody really fighting for that piece control. Over towards the bunker is going to be the most important part. Where currently Queasy and Thomas do have control. And they're really not trying to give it the position. And the longer this one takes, the harder it's going to be, because when you're fighting for piece control, you're using a lot of your materials back and forth, back and forth. And you see the other side, nobody really having a ton of resources in this fight. So no matter if they choose to kind of fight it out to the end, disengage, you got two teams waiting on the outskirts for when this one does end. And by the time that happens, you might not have nothing left to defend yourself. So a lot of these teams need to be careful. They need to be aware and start planning for the future.
Looks like T3eny and Kiduo were able to get the Grim Gate medallion, so they have those unlimited dashes. Mythic shotgun as well. A good setup for having a dominant late game here. Even with those two eliminations, damage is on their side, so they can continue now just focusing a bit more on their positioning, on the rotation in an area of the map that does not have too many opposing duos. Murstache, though, is still up. He is hiding as Firebro and Very are close by.
Yeah, even though this is a great strategy for Murstache, really no other choice, you got to start thinking of what this does for their Storm Surge game. They weren't really able to get much damage in that initial fight. They're waiting so long before he even has a chance to get the reboot. So only time will tell if it works out. With already Alex going down, leaving his teammate as a solo, he's going to try to disengage, and it's so far away. They're over towards the underworld. Yes, they have the dashes to close the distance, but if you're planning to get your teammate back, you better have some HP heals in your back pocket, or at least know where to get them.
Good news is they do have the med kit, so alongside that and the River of Sticks to rotate quicker, they should be able to make it to zone no problem. Although it would have been nice to conserve a bit of those med kits for the late game. However, being low on materials, they also need to farm up during their rotate. So they've got a lot of work to do, not a lot of time. Vico and Pink now also looking to see if they have any options here on players rotating closer and closer to the zone. They don't have any eliminations, but a solid loadout for Pink currently.
Yeah, as long as they don't make any big mistakes. They have the great position, especially with the zone moving in their direction. Pink and Vico, they're also taking two different bushes, two different locations to try to maximize the potential when it comes to that Storm Surge. They don't want to be too stagnant in one spot. But unfortunately, a lot of those early battles that happen towards Reckless Railroads are already done and over with. So the teams that are located in this side of the map are probably boxed up in a very, very same scenario looking for Surge themselves.
It's difficult though. Not a lot of options here. There's some pros and cons of being centered map, especially if the zone closes completely centered. Players might not rotate directly to the center as early on and stay more on the edges, so you won't have as many options of players rotating in compared to if the zone pulls far. Thomas Day, HD, and Queasy, like I said, it could take a long time for an engagement like this to end, and they're still here. So for the duo that was third partying, if you look at the mini map, they're also in a similar position.
They gotta be
for the players that didn't get the bunker, yeah, they really got to be careful because they just wasted a lot of time.
If they don't third party this, they're probably just waiting there to get the scraps that is left behind. But for both of these teams, both Queasy, Thomas, and the third party, they're just wasting a lot of time when it comes to Storm Surge. But Merstash probably finally getting Malibuka's card. Only one will know. And we got our second reboot battle of FNCS, and it only lasts for so long. Merstash gets put down with ease.
2 shots connected by Rick Bohr, just 1 from Merstash. It was almost enough to take him out, but 23 HP is what was left over. We can see from Rick Bohr's angle how it looked, as I believe Merstash got a nice initial shot, but the quick 2-piece is what cleaned it up.
Kind of got baited by the reboot. Felt like he had no choice but to try to stop it while he was down on health as well. So just not the best situation as Squeeze and Buzz rotating all over 2 fencing fields. Built themselves one of the monuments that we know and love when it comes to Fortnite, just trying to survey the land. There's only 4 potential teams around them at this stage in the game, so not a lot of opportunity for Surge, especially it doesn't look like either one of them have a DMR, so even if they do land the shots, it isn't going to add a lot when it comes to that overall total.
You can only see a few duos in the surrounding area, and I believe a couple of them are on Surge bases, so it's kind of shots back and forth between the Surge bases. The Buell here and his duo pretty deep in zone, but it looks like they're gonna quick enough make their way right back on in. Nice little shot with the DMR.
Yeah, but they're traveling towards just left of Restored's Real, north of Pleasant Piazza, where a lot of teams are going to make the same rotation, particularly because the River Sticks that gives them the Underworld dashes. So even though they're going to stop, try to stagger themselves, get some more Storm Surge, if any teams that is farther behind that rotation, they have that backup plan to kind of rotate and get into a safer spot sooner rather than later. Rift Island appears, and Pink and Vico are building a tower that kind of matches that elevation, and you can see watching out towards the back, he sees another mountain towards the outside, so they're trying to set themselves up from what we've seen very, very early on. Pink is going to be down low, trying to replenish a lot of the resources and kind of watch his back and possibly try to hunt a rift ahead of time that they can use for the next rotation.
These Surge bases aren't just beneficial for when you're looking for tags, but you can even kind of use it to potentially sway the rotations of players in the surrounding area, as they'll assume that there's most likely someone on top of that, and they'll kind of keep their line of sight blocked from it, even if there's no one there. So it could make that side of the map a little bit more free, getting a bit more technical, but that's the thing about set lobbies. You normally know which duos are where and where they're going to set up to get those tags, so you kind of want to base your rotation around that information. But the thing with semifinals is those lobbies keep changing every day. As 25 duos qualify, 25 duos get sent down to the lower bracket. So you do have new lobbies each time. A lot of studying, a lot of homework has to be done for these lobbies. Cheat and Kiduo now, boxed up edge of zone here, trying to see if any duos will be rotating in late.
Yeah, luckily for them, they were able to get 2 quick eliminations, kind of start the game. Not necessarily a ton when it comes to Storm Surge, so that's still looming in the back of their minds. And you can see them saving that slat barrel for the stamina that they're going to get. Kind of unlimited use for about 20 seconds or so. Can allow them, especially with that Flowberry Fizz, to cover a ton of distance very, very quickly when they're forced to make this rotation.
Just 3 seconds left till 5th zone appears. Will they have to make a far rotation? Not too much. Good news is there's not even that many duos close by. Only danger is Wheat Shimoki there. Sato and Andalex, on the other hand, close to Mount Olympus. This is where we kind of had that bunker battle with Thomas HD and Tiddy. So we'll have to see where those players are now.
Uh-oh. I get scared now here in the Chain of Hades with how dangerous it's been so far, and already Mappy's just creating so much distance. He doesn't want to go toe-to-toe with that. Luckily, Kiro is close by, and they were able to get that med kit off before this started, because that would have been very, very disastrous with Mappy at half HP, but Kiro with another shot from above. But that doesn't scare down his opponents. They're still trying to fight this and build up even higher and overtake that position. And what's scary is both of these teams still need to rotate. In a couple seconds, Zone is going to move in, and they are going to be taking damage. And with another team already having the safety in zone, it's not necessarily a position I want to be in.
Could be worse. They're not incredibly far, but at the same time, like you said,
makes sense.
It's going to use at least a lot of materials, and the duos that are on the edge of the zone with the water bending, Mythic making him turn around, and Mappy capitalizing on that situation to get a knock. They have the leverage here now, but all they really need is to get this refresh, finish the eliminated player, and honestly, just get the zone here. They could take the 2 versus 1, but it's a little risky because if you end up getting knocked just like Kiro did, now being left as a solo is going to make it incredibly more difficult.
Yeah, I feel like he could have just let that player's knock just kind of sit there and just try to go for the 2v1. It's those split-second decisions that really make all the difference, because now it's brought down to a 1v1. I would say the blessing is that third-party team has rotated on out, but in comes a curse to where they get a max pull. Even after this fight is over, your work is not done just yet. Mappy gets boxed up and taken out. A 1v2 is in the books. And with a chance to get the reboot back up because of this far pull on the zone, this is going to be another chance at life.
Stillian, the nice 2-piece. You can see why it can be quite risky, even if you're in a 1 versus 2, to take those engagements. But what a way as well to get the elimination. Chain of Hades once again being put to good use. I believe, like, especially when you're in a zone like that, after getting a knock, you can just kind of take the loot and rotate in, but from being split up, it's difficult also to make those split-second decisions in the moment. It's a lot more difficult than when you're watching them perform. Chicho Trulex, though, kind of nervous here. Just 24 above. They need quite a significant amount of damage, and there's not too many duos close to them. There's a lot in the surrounding area, but being so far away, it can be hard to land those shots.
I'm actually a little surprised they're even having some issues with Surge, whether if it's above or below, with their strategy and game plan, building those giant towers, even splitting up to try to cover distance to get the Surge. Seeing them below, it's not a position I expected them to see in, and they're just battling it out. It's only 3 damage, but the longer they take, they're falling further and further below. No opportunities to land shots just yet, but with so many teams rotating on by from Rift's launch pad is from the back of Rift Island, that could be the perfect opportunity, but again, they continue to fall. 92 below the damage threshold, and Trulex gets sniped by Vico. He goes down, all that opportunity out the window, and now Chicho's just stuck by himself. Vico going in to try to finish off that elimination, and he finishes off not just 1, but 2 straight eliminations to take down both Trulex and Chicho in that fight.
This is the blessing and the curse that I was talking about having a drop in the center of the map. It's a great position to be in, but if the zone pulls towards the center, a majority of the players are going to be on the edge of the zone, and they're not going to rotate through your POI that is that centered. So the only shots that you can take are of the duos that also landed in more of a mid-map POI, and they don't have as many options to take shots of players rotating through, which must have been why they had so much difficulty getting that damage earlier on, as now Cheated, left alone, unable to connect the sniper rifle shot. Good amount of mats, but you're going to need more than that to make this rotate.
Yeah, especially it's just over 2 different terrains of water. He does have some dashes that are going to be used very, very quickly. Makes it to one side, the little island, but has more distance. I did see Thomas go down in the feed. Luckily for him, Queasy is there at a moment's notice. 2 eliminations, which is their first eliminations of the entire day so far, which shows the struggles that they've been going through. But with a switch up of strategy in this game, not necessarily challenging Mount Olympus, this could be the one to push him over the top.
It's not going to be easy, though. You can see all the players that are blocking their path. Medkit's going to be put to good use, though. Get that HP up, and now with the Flowberry, they can attempt to make the rotate here. So many duos already boxed up, though. They have to choose carefully which path they are going to take. As other duos rotate through, the potential of recycling builds are there, but all they really need to do is make it in, build a couple boxes, and just like that, quite a clean rotate.
Yeah, this time while being above on the Storm Surge threshold, so not really forced in any bad position, but Cheatin', we saw him just not too long ago with more dashes. He's got to have the medallion, so this could be a big win for somebody to take out Cheatin' as a solo. Still bouncing around. Hot on the heels, 133 below, and Cheatin' finally goes down. Zohan, he's the one that gets the elimination, but they're targeted from the front side of the zone, and he goes down. It's all up to Trash, but the pressure is not slowing down just yet. 2 teams are being the gatekeepers and won't let them pass.
Medallion now stuck in the zone. Could be a little gift for the duos holding them on the edge. For 9 Moneymaker. We saw them get those 2 eliminations in the early game at Reckless. And now they've just kind of held their position, basically. 2 elims still on the board.
I haven't really seen a lot of Moneymaker and F9 today, other than that fight against Yanis and Flixie. They make it, I do believe, from the lower bracket side of things, so it's the first time they're getting their chance at this scenario of win and you're in. Only 28 above, though, which doesn't necessarily make me too nervous with how fast and aggressive F9 and Moneymaker can be at a moment's notice. You see them staggering themselves, just trying to get the damage, which isn't a ton. Even Sato just getting tagged up, drained right out of the sky.
Thomas HT Queasy now down to 16 above the Storm Surge threshold. They were looking better earlier on, but they have not been able to connect enough shots, it seems. But Sato might be what they were looking for here. Nice amount of damage connected. Thomas thinking about getting a bit more aggressive, but quickly decides against the fact that Squeezy has gotten the knock. Both players together now. All they need to do is get in zone.
Yeah, notice how Thomas broke the cover for Queasy, knowing he was eventually going to turn and rotate in that direction. Teamwork really making the dream work, and it's those small little intricacies that really matter towards the end, because look how quickly they make it in towards zone. They were focused for a quick seconds, but as soon as that focus stopped, they're now able to get the HP needed. And in these moving zones, L-Team-Z, Penzi are going to be the first ones that have that taste of the high ground.
9th zone pulls back as well, so those players that barely made it in now can just hold their position. T3eny Chap, though, so many players inside the box in front of him. It's going to be Raban, first one to get knocked down. Be careful, though. I believe Queasy just on top might open an angle, look for some potential damage here. Panzer and his duo, though, holding both sides of zone here, trying to make sure that they can claim it.
Yeah, you know how aggressive that team was in the lower bracket. They already got a big win, so they have the blueprint down packed. They just need to be able to solidify it here. Karmi's just under pressure. He goes down, separated from his duo. Just a quick second is all it really taken. Look how healthy he is with the materials, with the heals. So he could pick up a lot of points here as a solo, and just determined with only 36 points so far, those are big points for the leaderboard.
Continuing to rotate through. Has a significant amount of materials to play multiple moving zones, to be fair. As now Thomas HT Queasy, much more elims on the board, looking a lot healthier than previous matches, but still a long ways to go to be comfortable. They need to pop heals now. They need to pop shields. As being second height, the pressure from Panzer is going to come soon. Chap T3eny close by as well. The Buell trying to get his way to the front of zone through the edge here.
I think teams are learning throughout these couple of days. Look up. It's as simple as that. T3eny Chap, they make high ground the focus, and they're the ones, they're closest. No longer is it Queasy Thomas on second height. You see the Flowberry Fizz come out. The battle for the high ground is going to begin. Panzer gets coned off. He gets overtaken. They have no choice but to possibly give it up, but they're not going to give it up for free. They're going to still continue to try to battle this one out, even though Chap and T3eny do have the high ground secured. L-Team-Z gets taken down, but everything comes crumbling down. But luckily, they have the dashes to save themselves at the last second.
Materials, though, is what's the issue now. Just 3 builds for T3eny. They need to find a refresh, and it's actually Thomas HD. It's Queasy that's overthrown high ground, but no materials to work with. They also need to find a refresh. Nobody has mats.
Oh, somebody's flanks. That's T3eny again with a huge flank, taking down Thomas. That's his high ground. You can fight him for it, but there's only so much you can do as a solo, especially with how strong they are, and with the newly found dash coin, they're going to be able to overtake height with ease, especially since it's one player, and he saw it coming. You saw him waterfall his way down. He didn't want nothing to do with that battle.
T3eny Chap picking up that crown once again, now up above. Have the flow berries to hold on. Just 6 duos left. Maintaining it is crucial here for that VR. Meanwhile, down below, it's Turtle. Huge 105 shot, but has to get the zone.
Yeah, taking down Splash. Now he's going to go in for the elimination. His teammate goes down as well, but he falls, trying to look for a med kit. The Storm does so much damage, and now it's almost in full control by the high ground team, especially with another duo being separated. It's a 2v1 situation. They have high ground, and they take it with ease from the lower bracket. Complete and utter domination, carrying that momentum to the upper bracket and securing their spot in the grand finals.
Levin called it. Chap and T3eny showing how powerful the high ground can be in this format. We saw duos again and again fighting for it. Everybody wanted to stay up above, even if they didn't have materials, still going for that high ground. The duo that took it last, that picked up that crown once again, was T3eny and Chap. And we're going to see them in the grand finals.
Yeah, we kept talking almost 2 days straight. The high ground team is winning. The high ground team is winning. They took notice, and they prepared to overtake that high ground from the Flowberry Fizz to trying to chop them down. They played it perfect, and they executed a big win to get that battle bus spot.
More and more players are going to be playing aggressive for that height, so it's just going to be more and more difficult to maintain it. But who will be the final 2 to take it home? There's 3 people that can break it down for us.